It's a good morning, TBT Thursday, and quite a very chilly morning, a very cold morning. I hope wherever you are, you're keeping on warm. And rain check, has it rained wherever you're at, wherever you're staying? What are you up to this morning? Mine, I'm just here chilling in the studio, kama kawa, kama K. This is my happiest place. Gayaki naongeanga sana na sawata kujiintroduce. It's Jackie Moore. I'm sitting in for Noah, who is probably cold somewhere, or maybe he was rained on and sliding. But yes, this is the breakfast show here at Farmers Media, and wasichana leo ndio wamerauka. So, hi guys, how is your morning?
Hi, Jackie. My morning is a bit chilly. I have a flu that is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Let me start moving.
So, guys, any remedies for flu? I've been struggling with this flu for a while. The weather is not doing me any good. So, give me some tips and remedies.
Have you tried dawa? The one you mix honey with some ginger and
lemon.
And what else? What else am I? Because I've been taking that every morning, I've been mixing it with sugarcane juice. So I don't know if because I like my dawa so sweet, and I don't like honey.
Oh, that's where you're going wrong. Because me, I usually think when you take the bitter things, they take away the flu. You're not supposed to take sugar when you have a flu or cold.
But sugarcane is a natural sugar, I assume. It's a natural way compared to the...
Are you listening to yourself? Where does the sugar come from?
It comes from sugarcane, but it's processed. But now this is the real sugarcane. I think even sugarcane juice has got its nutritional values.
I don't think so.
Really?
Yes. Stop the sugar first.
Yeah.
Probably honey, because honey it has its own components. Yeah, and if it's not working, try chewing garlic.
Ooh. Guys, pray for me. I need prayers.
We will pray for you. How is your morning, Zifi?
My morning is good. It's very cold. I never imagined this place I will ever wear my hoodies. Now I'm having one, but it's okay. We thank God for the rains. At least vumbi meisha. Finally. Yeah.
Nice. A lot has been happening. Yesterday there was blackout. I think countrywide. I don't know.
Oh.
Was it countrywide or?
I think some areas, I think it was more in Nairobi and coastal areas. Yeah, that's where people experienced blackout. Hey, all over the country. I mean, it was just Nairobi and coast, guys. You can tell us in the comment sections.
But you're in Kajiado.
We're in Kajiado.
So you're
yeah, and
Nairobi
even
and
parts of Kajiado, parts of Machakos,
yeah. We need to find out what really went wrong.
Parts of Murang'a County.
Really?
Oh, they also experienced.
Yeah.
Was it long, like the power outage in Kajiado?
Whole day.
The whole day.
Yeah.
Wow. I can imagine how so many things came to a standstill.
Hey, we'll find out, even if it's not agriculture related. But even agriculture stopped in some way. There are people who use the electricity in their farms to carry out their day-to-day activities. But we'll find out what exactly transpired. Kenya Power, we need the information.
Answers.
Yeah.
But the joke was going around ati Kenya Power sisi ndo tuko. So take it or leave it. If you have other options.
And that's the conversation actually we want to have, because we need to break this monopoly and monotony of having just one kind of, depending on one thing. Like even here, our operations literally stopped. We couldn't have the shows, and people need to have alternatives. Do you know any other alternative source of energy?
I think solar. But is solar as efficient as power? Is it as efficient?
Not sure. Maybe only when there is sun, probably.
Yeah, I can imagine areas where they experience frequent rains. Can you really rely on solar energy?
Exactly. But interestingly, we have one of our guests will be joining us in this today's show, and they do biogas, and he does an amazing work when it comes to biogas production. if you visit his farm, he's actually made a car that is driven by biogas.
Wow.
Yes, everything he does in his farm, like I've never been to his home, but in his farm he has like everything, a demonstration of how you can use biogas and how you can utilize biogas in empowering and doing your day-to-day activities. So Dominic Wanjihia is the CEO and founder of Biogas International. Will be joining us shortly to discuss this conversation we want to have about sustainable environmental farming. When you talk about sustainability, it's not just about doing things the right way. I don't want to go back to the other show we had, but sustainability is doing things the right way, and it's long term. So like, what will happen if one day you wake up and we cannot really get the electricity that we are used to?
That's interesting because you realize human nature. Like yesterday, there was no electricity for a few hours.
Hey, it was not a few.
But it looked like a century, yeah? It looked like a very long time. So that shows how we are dependent to electricity. Like our whole life depends on it, our whole functioning. Like everything came to a standstill. And I assume in so many other businesses. Some people even just went home. And even if you're going home, you're going back to no electricity. And it was just this bug where you feel like, kwani tarudi saa ngapi? What's not happening? People were Twitter people. It was chaotic. People were really asking what's happening. Kenya Power really metuangusha, you know.
Zippy was stressed. Like her phone was almost going off, and she almost got ulcers.
You can imagine.
And I can't survive without it.
So what will happen if one day you wake up and you find like we'll no longer have electricity?
I'll try and do something on my own. Because you see, Jack, yesterday when I went home, my daughter was really telling me lights. She thought I could fix it. Like the moment I came in, she just started telling me lights, where lights. So she thought maybe I could fix it, and that shows how we are so dependent on this electricity. Like life comes to what kids cannot even watch their programs. So like me, I will make my own electricity.
Start inventing your own power. Yes, so today we want to talk about the environment, specifically how to protect our environment while farming. Running a farm and producing high quality produce involves managing energy and resources. Farmers employ a range of techniques and technology to help reduce their impact on the environment, from the way they manage and protect the soil to preventing soil erosion and retain nutrients, through to how the farms use energy efficiently. What's your take on how farmers should take care of the environment? Because this week we've been talking about issues to do with climate change, the effects of climate change, and if you've read stories to do with agriculture is one of the sectors that contribute to these effects of climate change. So, in your opinion, how can farmers protect the environment?
I think by just trying to farm in a very sustainable way. That is number one. Because, like you said, there are so many factors that contribute to this. And it also goes back to a farmer. How are you farming? What are some of the sustainable ways you're practicing? Are you even trying to practice agroforestry? Because those are some of the things that will help. Yeah, so I think just practice sustainable agriculture.
Zippy, what's your take?
I think that's all, and they should be careful with the chemicals they are using, because some of them are not suitable with the environment, and that will cause the climate changes.
But even when you talk about the chemicals, most of the farmers, I'm not saying they're illiterate, but sometimes they just go to the agrovet and buy. So how can they get this information that by this thing you're using? Like when we were in the farm, in one of our farms, we saw the Folamium. Folamium is one of the pests that once it comes into your farm, it's just a menace. Like it cannot be removed. They have tried everything to clear Folamium. So like now, how can you tell a farmer this pesticide that you're using on these pests is harmful to the environment, how can they get this information?
I think that's where agronomists come in. If you can have agronomy support in your farm, it will take you a long way. Like you've said, majority of farmers, they walk into agrovets. Right now people have gone digital, so you just take a picture of the worm and then you go to the agrovet and you're like, what kind of pesticides I can use on this worm? And then you're given, have you been directed on how you're going to use it? Have you been given precautions? I don't know if they're indicated on the bottles of the pesticides, instructions, maybe how safely you're supposed to use it. So I think agronomists come in handy. They can lead you, they can guide you on how you can even use these pesticides.
Zippy?
Could have said the same
Agronomists only. Where else can they get information? Yes, no, that's the reason why a farmers media is always here. You could have said even from me, from a farmers media. But there are so many apps that have been that are coming up. Like there's the one that is called Plantix. Just take a picture and it diagnoses everything and it shows you which chemicals that you can use, or which pesticides, or which fertilizer that you can use on your farm. We are waiting for our guest to join us so that he's on up to speed with what we are discussing. As we wait for him, we are just farm girls, and we are trying to encourage young girls to get into farming activities. And I want to ask Fiona, which crops have you grown on your farm?
For me, I started with a kitchen garden. I did beetroot, I did spinach, I did dania. But then it needed a lot of commitment from me. So there are days I used to forget to water. There are days I didn't put so much effort. And before, we harvested quite a few, and I was doing it organically kabisa. I was not using any fertilizers, any pests, any whatever. I was just doing it organically, and they were thriving. They were thriving. I came to learn, once you water anything you're growing, chances are it will thrive. But the moment I stopped, they started drying up, and I gave up.
Zippy, apart from carrots in high school, which crops? First, do you have a farm?
Okay, back at home, like a small one. Yeah.
Which crops have you tried to grow?
I tried carrots and also danias, and what else did I try? Oh, and capsicum and some pili-pilis, but just a few. Then I planted maybe 5, but they were good to go. We used them. Huh?
Okay, capsicum.
Yeah.
I've never tried.
I tried, but for the first time they really discouraged me because they grew and then they were just small ones. Then I decided I won't plant again. Then my mama told me, just plant another ones, maybe they will do well. And that time they used to be big. So yeah, that's what I tried.
But have you ever thought that you can actually do your farming even from your windowsill?
Jackie, I've seen so many, like even the discussions we have with people who have no space, there's so many ideas that come up. But I always ask myself, am I ready for committing myself to that? Because we can, the even option of CG farming where, like you've said, on your windowsills, on what. But for me, I just think, it needs some sort of commitment and a lot of information. Because when you talk about farming on windowsills, what are you really talking about? Like, give us an example.
Before I say, I just want to hear from you first. Have you ever thought of farming from your windows? Like, because the reason why we've had so many talks on women in agriculture and why most young ladies, youthful ladies, have never thought of practicing agriculture is because we don't have land, we don't have finances, we don't have, But then why don't you make use of the little space that you have? Yesterday, we saw some small cans you've hanged on the wall, and she was like, what are these for? And yes, there's so many things that can actually be grown, and the way Fiona is saying that it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of dedication.
And Jackie, that even brings about the thing about coming to farm with us. People were asking if we are targeting young people, will they be committed to this? I believe young people have got so much going on in their lives. They have got jobs, they need their social life, So farming needs dedication and time. Will they commit?
For me, I don't think farming needs dedication. It's just a thing that it comes from your passion, what you like. Like me myself, even if I'm sad, once I just sit on this microphone, I just find myself smiling and always upbeat. It's my happy place. There's also even farming for me. It's a way of relaxing your mind. The one I was telling you about, planting on the windowsills. You can actually plant so many herbs and spices just on your windowsill. And if it is, if it needs that dedication, how much time will you take just to take a cup of water and just to water your plant while in the kitchen? As you drink the water, if you don't finish the water, you just pour it on the can.
And that's just a good way of starting. Like you've just said, it doesn't need so much from me. I'll be drinking my water. I just remember I need to water it.
Yeah.
So maybe such options, because kitchen garden is wide, and sometimes you can be given the options where you're just like, I'm not taking that route anytime.
There's a lady I know who started by growing herbs on the windowsill, and right now she has a big farm of herbs and spices, because she started from the cans, those small cans that you saw out there. Like she put what are these called, rosemaries, she planted dahlias. Like she just put the seeds. She took like, let's say 5 cans, and then she put the seeds. Then the rosemary started growing, the lemongrass grew. She had different spices, herbs and spices. And then when they started growing, they were like, she needed, they had grown so big, they needed space. So she saw, these things are crowded, let me transfer them. You see, on your compound, there's just like a pavement. Like when the rain falls, there's a line that forms. So she puts the herbs. And then the rosemary continued growing and growing and growing. And so she was like, let me continue planting and planting and planting. And now she has a big farm, and she's making money. If you want to make quick money for the young people, herbs and spices is the way to go. Like a kilo of dania goes at how much?
A kilo of dania? Maybe around 60 shillings. Yeah, they are so 60 to 70.
And it doesn't take time to grow. Like in a month, you can even make, imagine 60, and let's say you harvest around 100 kilograms of dania that you didn't even expect. You just threw the seeds. When you're washing your dishes, you pour the water. It doesn't have paste. It doesn't have it doesn't require a lot of inputs. So you can do the math.
If we are talking about herbs and spices, just maybe it's a thought. It's a food for thought. Maybe young people can venture into that. What about this other? The other day I was reading somewhere. There are vegetables that really grow really quickly. Vegetables like green onions, spinach.
Yeah.
Is it something that can really inspire young people to venture into that?
Yes, I think it is. Because me, when I was very young, around 10 years, I used to, when my mom used to cut the onions, we had a place where we used to dump the trash. So when you dump the trash, it's manure on its own. And then the onions started growing, green onions, and now we started harvesting. We changed the garbage heap into a small garden.
Imagine, that's what they say, nature keeps giving. Like you can randomly throw something somewhere, and surprisingly it grows. Without you even taking care of it, without you even planning, without you doing anything, it just grows.
So I don't think farming is way that hard. It's just that it needs to come from within yourself. Like you're
Yeah.
passionate about it, and you want to do it. Like even the avocado, most of the avocado trees that you see out here, it's not that they were grown by anyone. It's just the seeds that we throw away.
The seeds that we throw. Oh, okay.
So, which ways can we encourage? Because we've been trying to talk to young girls like Zippy here, and we are yet to convince Zippy that she can actually farm. What makes it so hard? What comes to your mind when you hear about farming? What imagination comes into your head?
Okay, let me start by giving the experience back there in high school. So when it came, we are choosing the subjects. Then I went for agriculture. Then some girls were telling me, oh, you'll become a farmer. Oh, now imagine that farmer from that village, the way like Ako too, just a small farmer. So I think so that's the mentality most of us have. Like hawana hiyo a big farmer nini. Like I don't know that picture they have of a farmer. Like it's a mtu ni mtu poor like Ako tu that picture. Hiyo ndo watu wengi huko nayo.
Ati a farmer ni mtu
Ni
poor.
mtu
Fiona.
poor.
I think Jackie, I get what Zippy is saying, because for the longest time we have never been shown any other careers in agriculture apart from being a farmer. You know, yet there are so many other careers in agriculture itself. Agriculture is wide. We have extension officers in there, we have agronomists, we have so many other people in there. But for the longest time, the picture that had been portrayed in our minds growing up was this farmer in the village trying to make ends meet, living in a, I don't want to say it, but living in a very pathetic way.
In a grass-thatched house,
That's the picture that was created in us. So even in school, people would lean more towards being doctors, being lawyers, being engineers. No one would say, I want to be a farmer. You know, randomly, even if you ask, what would you like to be when you grow up? No one would randomly say, I want to be a farmer. And it just tells you how farming has been perceived for years. Farming has been perceived as the last option when you're retiring, the last option when you've lost your job. There's a time they were pushing it and saying it will be a way of youths acquiring employment. Why should it be an option when all these other things have failed? You know, so I think there need to be a rebranding of some sort when it comes to farming. People need to be taught that apart from just being a farmer and doing the hands-on, you can be so many things in the agriculture sector. Yeah.
What usually comes to mind when before I got into this agriculture thing, like deep into it, interviewing farmers, what used to come to my mind was carrying the djembe, and you know, it is a tedious job. I remember we used to be taken to the village during the holidays, and you're given your portion.
And it used to be like a punishment, yeah. Like when you haven't behaved so well, so when you go to the village, that is how you're punished, by being taken to the farm. And even people used to threaten you and say, you know, when you haven't been behaving well, people in the village, they farm from morning till sunset. So that's the perception you have. It's like going to the farm is like a punishment, you know.
Yeah.
And that is the mentality that generation, the millennials, grew in. So right now, as a millennial, when you tell them about farming, they're like, sasa tunaanzia wapi? Like, where do we even start? It's just now recent that I've seen people are now interested in kitchen gardens, just because of the increase in food prices. People are like, see, I can grow my own skuma kwani, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and what can we do now that we are already here? Climate change is also affecting us in some way. Food prices are on the rise. How can we encourage this generation that farming is still can be done as a side hustle or even as a job?
As a job. I think, speaking of even climate change, and I think I keep repeating this, the other day I was having a conversation with someone, and they comfortably said that, you know, the weather is behaving this way because of the war in Ukraine. And then I was just like, I cannot even start explaining. I give up. Have you ever just let someone continue speaking and you're like, okay. So when it comes to climate change, most people are not well versed with even the topic. Like right now, we were expecting rains, not anytime soon.
Yeah.
We were thinking maybe it will start raining somewhere next year, but now it has started raining. And someone will just say, when you talk about climate change, we thought drought and everything, the effects of climate change, but now it's raining. So people are really confused about the same. Because the other day someone was saying, okay, I get it, in some parts of the country people have been experiencing drought, but there are some areas in Nairobi where it has been raining and we had just started experiencing some sun. And right now again we are back to the cold seasons and the rain. What's not happening? And then you realize, us here in Kajiado, we were just praying for these rains.
Yeah.
We were just waiting.
The Maasai is today.
It's a celebration.
It's only that the cows have grown a little bit thin, but they should have a shere.
Yeah, they should. And Jackie, let me ask you, Jackie, you see the confusion. There are some areas where it was raining, the weather was green, it rained when it's supposed to rain, and then there's some areas where people were experiencing drought. People were even, you could hear there are people who are dying of hunger, there is no water, animals are just collapsing. How do you explain that?
It's the same thing I was saying in the last show we had. It's our own doing. As much as we are blaming it on climate, it's the people themselves, us the people who are practicing weird and bad habits that are destroying the environment. Because once we destroy this environment, then what do you expect? It's going to create a negative effect on the climate. Like when you decide that you want to build a flat and then you cut down the forests that you have, what do you expect? Fine, you'll have the flat.
I don't know whether it's true. I just passed somewhere and I overheard them saying that this area, they were full of trees. I don't know whether it's true.
It's true.
But now
It's true.
there are no more trees. It's just a desert, like field. You see from here to the other corner. So, okay, as we are contributing to that climate change, I think so. Let's see. I don't know which percentage I will give, but the highest percentage, we are the ones who are contributing to the climate
To the
change.
climate change,
Yeah.
yeah. And like you've said, maybe at like 12, 15 years back then, Kitengela used to be one large forest. It was a habitat to so many animals. But right now people are coming in, they're buying land, and when you buy an acre of land and you want to construct apartments, what will you do? So you'll cut down the trees. So it's our own doing, actually. It's our own doing.
And you can imagine, just by cutting down trees, you're already feeling this effect. Yesterday, as you were walking, you were telling us about the Lukenya, is it?
Yeah, the Lukenya Hills.
You can imagine, let's say in 20 years from now, will they still be there?
They won't. People would have constructed a business. There'll be a hub of businesses happening. You see the way the malls are being constructed. Like if you use the Mombasa Road going to Machakos, there are so many malls. The malls that were non-existent like even 6-5 years ago. So right now there are so many malls. So a mall could be occupying around like even 3 or 4 acres. What does that tell you? A few trees have been cut down.
Yeah. Hey, it's just our own doing. Like we don't have anyone to blame. But then who will be our advocate? Like, because we are already here now. What will happen to the generations that are coming?
For me, I will say it starts with me. I will start teaching my child to know how to plant trees. You know the way we if you have graduated, signify it by planting a tree. If you've gotten married, seal your union by. We should start bringing. I was seeing there's a couple, when they got married, they sealed their union by planting a tree. So they will keep watering that tree until it matures. It will even show how their love matures. So why can't we bring such practices when your child graduates? let them plant a tree, let them keep watering that tree. It just equates to how you water your life. What you know, what you consume defines who you are as a person. So we should start sealing memorable things or eventful things in our lives by just planting a tree randomly too. Seal friendships, seal, you know, the way people, I think for young people, I've seen that thing is happening now. I don't know. Actually, when you've dated someone, there's a promise ring. It shows some sort of commitment. So why can't you just plant a tree instead? Like, take your person, go somewhere, plant a tree, let it signify something in your relationship.
It's a nice idea.
Yeah.
Once the tree grows and you're still together, you'll be going and sitting down there under the shade.
Yeah.
Probably eat the fruits if it is a fruit tree.
A reminder of so many things. A reminder of how far you've come.
Like
Many generation, you're savages.
Let me ask you, have you ever tried being a motivational speaker?
Hey, Jackie, I can't, because there are times I lose my words. There are times I even forget my name. Ni wale watu wa-
Anajielewa kweli. See,
No, I just read a
not
lot.
she can, she's a motivational speaker.
No, Jackie. I think I consume a lot. I read a lot. And I consume the kind of content that motivates me. So I think what I put inside of me, it's easier to put out. Yeah.
Zippy, who will be our advocate? Like, who will be our the next generation's advocate? Because, like, the Lukenya planes that we were seeing, and the way I've mentioned, like, in 20 years to come, probably they won't be there, because an investor will come and say they want to build a hotel up there, or they want to do something up
They
there.
feel this is wasted land.
And then you go like, hey, have you seen that hotel? We've been to
Yeah,
that
it's on top
particular
of
hotel.
a hill.
Have you ever seen these hotels that have been constructed at a floating hotel? Sijui nini nini? Like, who will ask the investor, why are you doing this? Because there's a hotel, if you go to Mombasa, in Ukoko Ocean, there's a hotel there. And to get into that hotel, you have to pay 7,000 shillings to be transported by a boat. So once you get there, you're like, hey, the hotel is nice. Nini, nini.
Beautiful.
But then they're destroying the ocean.
Yeah, they're messing with the nature in it. Then they're messing with nature. There's a way even water flows. So if you interfere with that, and you know, we can't stop it, Jackie. Like you've said, you go to these places for aesthetic value. Like, it's as simple as eating something in a kibanda. But why do people visit such places? For aesthetic value, it's beautiful. The hype of it, it's somewhere in the middle of the ocean.
Zippy, what's your take?
So it starts from us, as in wenye tuko sahi. So let me repeat about the story that I gave you the other day. I don't know what happened, because okay, those days when I was in primary school, I used to be given trees. I think so that's the best idea, because that kid will be excited. By then I was very excited. I used to come from school, I just change my uniform, I go, I water my tree. It was not near, you know, the riverside.
Yeah.
That's where I planted my tree. So, but sometimes it's tiring. You forget, or either you have that homework, you have to do the assignment. But I think so that was the best thing, because giving the trees are the kids. I think so it's the best option, because okay, I don't know how I'm going to explain it, but I'm about to start.
Interesting. This is a conversation that you're having. Thank you so much for joining us. Wherever you are tuned in, keep your conversation on the comment sections, and we'll be sampling some of your comments during and at the tail end of today's show. We are talking about sustainable environmental farming, and we are also being joined by one Dominic Kahumbu Wanjihia, who is the CEO and founder of Biogas International. Thank you so much, Dominic, for making time. How have you been? How's the weather like wherever you are? Has it rained?
It has drizzled a bit, so we are hoping for more. Yeah, but the ground is wet at the moment, but it's only an inch deep. So we hope to get more very soon.
Did you have power outage in Ngong?
Yeah, in fact, in most of the areas in Ngong, the power is still not back.
No way.
But yeah, on our farm in Karen, the power is back.
I wish you'd have gone to the farm so that I was telling the ladies here about your innovation and invention on biogas, and they'd really like to see how you do it.
Where I am at the demo farm, so I can still go outside and demonstrate. Do you want me to go now?
We'll go as we continue the conversation. Probably just to do an introduction for those people who don't know who Dominic is. Who is Dominic and what exactly do you do?
So my name is Dominic Kohumbu Wanjihia. I'm the founder of Biogas International Limited. We are an organization that is designed specifically as we have the environment in mind. So we are conservationists by heart. We develop tools for poverty alleviation, climate smart agriculture, and of course, renewable energy. So a very big component of our work is recycling. A biogas digester is a recycling gadget that basically recycles all sorts of organic material, not just cow dung. A lot of people perceive biogas to be cow related. So one of the biggest problems with farmers is if they don't have cows, they basically black out the thought of biogas because they think, well, I don't have cows, so I can't have biogas. That is a very, very false impression. Anything and everything biodegradable will decompose in an anaerobic environment, meaning in a oxygen absent environment, and will give off methane gas, which is the biogas, which is the gas we are looking for when we build digesters. So all farmers qualify, whether you have chickens, whether you have pigs, even if you don't have animals. Provided there's something growing in the ground, all of the weeds in your farm can be used. We have plants running on water hyacinth in Lake Victoria. We have plants in Laikipia running on the Opuntia cactus. We've run plants on the Mathenge in northern and southern Kenya. So all of these invasive species are absolutely fantastic resources. One of the areas where we are moving into now is the agricultural side, because we've learned that the gas is good, it's convenient. Gas on tap is fantastic. It alleviates the time spent collecting firewood. You get fertilizer on the spot, so you don't need to use the chemicals and what have you. You don't need to damage your soil anymore. It's very, very convenient. What it doesn't do is it doesn't do lighting and things like this. So we always accompany our systems with solar. Solar is very, very good for lighting. Biogas is very, very good for any of your heat processes. On a larger scale, you can use the gas now for a value addition. I'm sure everybody has heard that, the line that the next billionaires in Africa will be farmers. That used to go around on all of the social medias. It's not going to be the farmers that are growing tomatoes and selling them to the brokers, or growing cabbages and selling them to the brokers. It's going to be, the billionaires are going to be those farmers who are turning their coffee berries into coffee. It's going to be the ones who are turning their tomatoes into tomato sauce. It's going to be the people who are turning their avocados into avocado oil. It's the value addition that is going to be what's going to bring the wealth to the farmers. A lot of farmers don't think that they have the energy, because all of these value addition processes require energy, and sometimes quite a lot of energy. Just to turn milk into yogurt, you literally double the price of your product by turning it into yogurt, and it takes 8 to 10 hours to turn milk into yogurt. It's a very simple process, but you need heat. If you've got the animals, you've got the dung, so you've got the heat. So it's very, very easy to use what you have on your farm to create the energy that you need to value add to your products. So in this, we are driving. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
interesting there.
So,
Dominic Dominic. Today we want to talk about matters to do with sustainable environmental agriculture. And I know you're an environmentalist as you chose to do biogas. Which ways would you say are the best ways that farmers can adapt for us to have a sustainable environment, thereby reducing or mitigating the effects of climate?
Well, what's happening is what's causing climate change is the pollution. It's what we humans call waste. You know, before humans came along, or before modern humans came along, there was absolutely nothing that was waste. There was no, everything was recycled. All the poo-poo from animals would go into the topsoil. It would then break down into fertilizer, and another plant would grow, and an animal would eat it, and the nutrient cycle would go like this. We invented the word waste because of our habits. It's a lot of the pollution that is ending up in our rivers that is causing the contamination and contributing to the greenhouse gas emissions is waste from farms. So in Kenya, we have a huge amount of food produced immediately during the rains and immediately after the harvest. It's all ferried into town and ends up in the markets and in people's houses. And 60–70% of it ends up in the dustbin, and that ends up in a landfill, ends up going to waste. So how the farmer can prevent this is look at your product and say to yourself, how can I make sure that this does not end up in the bin? How can it not end up rotting somewhere? Because it's the rotting of these foodstuffs that is causing the greenhouse gases in the dump sites. Value addition, drying fruits and vegetables is a very, very easy one. And you value add it. So you are reducing the greenhouse gases just by preserving your food. Where it comes to water, pollution, we can repurpose all of our water. I mean, look at the water we use in a household. At the moment, it's just been very, very dry, but everyone continued bathing and everyone continued, washing their laundry and washing their houses. And they were literally throwing that water out. They were not repurposing it. So recycling water is a very, very essential component to mitigating climate change and stopping the wastage of water. Water that you've used for bathing or have you is just soapy water. If you don't use chemicals like detergents and what have you in the water, then you can easily treat it with EM and then put it straight into your irrigation system, and you can use it to grow food crops. Another method is, or another solution to, or another cause of climate change is, or the leading cause, I would say, in Africa, one of the leading causes is charcoal. Now, in the rural areas, people fetch firewood and they burn the firewood. So yes, they're contributing to climate change because they are burning the wood and releasing the carbon into the environment. I mean, they're nowhere near as polluting as the guy with the car who drives to work every day. The guy in the car is polluting much, much more. He's the one who really needs to be addressed. The farmer that is cooking with firewood can reduce by moving to a clean cook stove, be it LPG, be it electricity, be it biogas, just to reduce those carbon emissions into the environment. If farmers are cutting down trees, if people in the rural areas are cutting down trees, then of course they are really contributing to climate change. So they should stop cutting down trees and look at how can you grow sustainable firewood. If you can't afford a biogas digester or afford another fuel, what else can you use, or how can you grow your woodlot sustainably so that you don't have to cut down trees to do your cooking? The big picture really is, like I said, the farmers are not the ones cutting down the trees. It's the charcoal makers that are bringing the charcoal into town. They are really the ones who are. So a lot of your question about the farmers contributing to climate change, it's the people in the urban areas that are actually contributing far, far more to the climate change than the people in the rural areas.
Good morning, Dominic. Thank
Morning.
you for joining us today. My name is Fiona.
Okay.
I have a question for you. So my question is,
Yes.
how do you manufacture biogas from waste?
I think seeing is believing is far, far more effective. Let me take you outside to where we have the biogas digester.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Then,
Interesting.
Yeah,
let me see how to.
yeah, as Dominic
Yes.
says, you're going out. There's that point you've made about it's not the farmers who are actually polluting the environment. It's the people in the urban centers. And that's exactly what you were saying. And I was asking, who can be the next generation's advocate? Like, who can come out and say, urban people need to stop polluting the environment?
I think one of our biggest problems is the education system. What the education system does is it steers people towards becoming qualified to get a job. So everybody then leaves the rural area and goes to town to look for a job. You know as well as I do that there are so many school leavers and university leavers, college leavers who are tarmacking, if you make it to what the term is. There is a massive urban to rural migration, rural to urban migration every single year. There are no jobs. So all of these people are ending up living in low-income areas, and they're using the charcoal. That's what bringing down the forest. What we need to do is encourage those people to go back to their rural areas and start developing their rural areas. Take their knowledge that they've learned in school and go and build their home. That way, you take the charcoal back. You don't you reduce the volume of charcoal coming into the towns. We are working on trying to get piped gas into low-income areas, piped biogas with large biogas digesters, to reduce the amount of charcoal used. But the only way you're going to really, in the long term, is by reducing the population of the low-income areas around our towns and cities. And that is to encourage the youths to go back to their villages, back to their towns where they came from, and become entrepreneurial, start jobs, start businesses, start jobs, start creating jobs for your fellow man, for other people. Don't stop coming to town. There are no jobs in town. Town is congested, it's full. And this is where all of our rivers have turned into black rivers. And it's purely from human interference, human contamination, flowing down into the rivers and turning into black rivers. If you look at Nairobi River, it's almost black paint. It is so polluted. It's terrible. And that's the case in all of our rivers. So the long-term solution is, how do we get our youth to stop coming into town? How can we encourage them? How can we train them to be entrepreneurial and start developing their homes, their villages? Go back to their farms at home and start doing contemporary agriculture, as I'll show you just now. There is a lot of, if there's one thing that humans need on a daily basis, and most of us twice a day at least, it's food. We can go a few days without bathing. We don't need to change our clothes every day. You don't even need a roof over your head, so to speak, but you need to eat. And so that is one job that is definitely going to be in demand for the existence of humans all the time. People need food. So there is no shortage of space either. There's plenty of space for people to farm. Let me try and switch my camera around. Here we go. Okay. So we have, what is a biogas digester? Let me take you to the one system that is very exposed and you can see it. So this is our model of what we call flexi biogas digesters. It's a tube that sits on the ground, so there's no construction, there's no digging, there's nothing underground. And this is the feed. This goes down into the ground and then up into the bottom of the system. So you feed your food into here. It then flows across the system slowly but surely. So every time you put some food in here, it will push the food that's in further down the system. And it flows across and eventually exits from here, but it comes out as digested food or a liquid. It's not bioslurry. the system is a lateral system. So what comes out is a liquid. So this is a very simple technology, not very expensive. The tube, the tubulates, this is all gas, and the gas is piped from here and then goes to your point of use. This model is outside the greenhouse. So we house them all in greenhouses like this. If you can imagine, a digester is a stomach, just like the stomach in our bodies. The microorganisms that are doing the fermentation process come from the ruminant, from the stomach of a ruminant. Cows, goats, sheep, they all possess the microorganisms that actually make methane. The body temperature of the cow is 36 to 37 degrees Celsius. So when you want things to ferment, you warm them up to body temperature. Whether it's milk, whether you're making yogurt from milk, whether you're making beer, whether you're making wine, you always warm it up so the fermentation is very rapid at body temperature of a mammal. So this is what the greenhouse does. It warms up the system very effectively, and you get huge amounts of gas from very, very small amounts of feedstock. So these systems, for instance, one cow, a reasonably healthy cow, will give you about 1 bucket of cow dung. That will cook you githeri. So it will meet all of your energy demands, 100%. If you're a smaller household with 4 or 5 members, then you might even get away with using the excess gas for hot water. So, so the basic process is you put food into a system, it ferments. In the process of fermenting, it's breaking down, it gives off gas that comes out of the top of the system, and what comes out the other end is a liquid fertilizer that goes straight into agriculture. And it's also a very effective insect repellent. It's not an insecticide, it doesn't kill anything, but it's very, very good at repelling the pests on your plants. This is another model that we're working on. It's not yet ready to launch. This is for the person who lives in town. So it's we call it an urban utility model because people in town have a much, much smaller space. So this is designed more for the person who works in town. They will feed it about maybe 2 or 3 kilos of kitchen waste every day. You just chop it up, feed it into this pipe. And the gas is formed, as you can see the balloon on the top, and that gas, again, is piped directly to your point of use. There's no need for pumps or anything. This will give you plenty of gas for the typical town lifestyle, where your breakfast is light, you might have a light lunch, but then your main meal is dinner in the evening. It won't give you as much gas as the bigger ones, not at this size. This is a 1 cubic meter system. We then have the much larger systems like this one. So these ones we run on municipal waste from marketplaces, from schools can use the system, institutions, universities can use the system. It produces huge, huge amounts of gas. This is the grinding machine. We like to say that, you know, God gave us teeth to chew before we swallow. So this is a pulping grinding machine. Okay, there's no food in there. But it is just market waste that goes into the system. So your waste, avocados, mangoes, skumas, everything that's waste from the marketplace. Here we have a control panel where we monitor how much gas is being produced by each system, so that when we sell the system, we know exactly what we're selling. What comes out of all of these systems, including this one, is, like I said, a liquid fertilizer. It's coming out here. You can see it's very watery. It's not a sludge. So it's not bio-slurry, it's a bio-liquid. And this is piped up to those 2 tanks on top there. The light's not very good. And then from there, it is piped back down again into this farm. So this is where the agriculture side comes in. So this is what we call a copycat farm. Hold on, there's a helicopter. So in these farms, so this is where urban agriculture meets rural agriculture. Everyone knows these during COVID year, where everyone was being encouraged to put these in their urban areas. So the biggest piece of information that was left out to a lot of the people that were marketing these was they weren't telling the farmers or the users that you have to keep the soil alive. You have to keep on building the soil with microorganisms and with organic material. You cannot use chemicals like DAP, CAN, and all of those agrovet fertilizers on these gardens. You will kill the soil and your productivity will drop off and you'll have a miniature desert in your compound. So you have to keep them alive organically. So here we don't use any chemicals at all, not anything, no pesticides, nothing. And these farms, we did a comparison where we had 20 of these farms on a small piece of land, and then we had a piece of land that was 4 times the size. You can see all this here. We're now taking these out, which is why it looks a bit empty. We were getting the same yield out of this space, which was quarter the size of the big space. So you get about 4 times the yield from this type of cone farming. To manage it very easily, the entire cone is on drip irrigation. So it is literally just a matter of turning the line on, and you irrigate all the farms 100% equally. We're expanding the farm right now, as you can see down there, because there is quite a high demand for the vegetables that we're growing on this. Another very important part of this is the shade net. We humans have this uncanny habit of thinking that we know more than nature, or more than our maker. And by that, I mean that if you look in an area like the savannas, the Ambosellis, the Maras, those harsh, arid lands, there is, if you look at what's growing in the ground, it's very harsh shrubs, it's very tough grass, you get the acacia trees and these kind of things. And we go into forests. If you go into a forest and look at what's in the undergrowth of the forest, you have the nice soft vegetables and herbs like these ones. So what we do as humans, we go into a forest, clear the forest, and then we try to grow these plants, and then we wonder how come it doesn't work. I mean, we've minused the microclimate that the forest was providing for those vegetables. So that's what the shade net is for. It is 50% shade net, so it reduces the UV by 50%. And it creates a microclimate that is typically similar to what is the undergrowth of a forest. So we don't have the tree stems and everything, so it's very easy to maneuver around your farm. But it's very essential to actually growing productively on these and getting the high yields that we're getting out of these farms. So you can do 2 farms for the typical household, will give you enough vegetables all year round. Or you can do large scale like this, where you can supply markets and you can supply supermarkets and your neighbors and what have you. You don't need a lot of space to do this. So, essentially what I'm saying is that you're basically taking, I'm trying to turn the camera around. Yeah. So what we're doing is we're demonstrating that there is no such thing as waste. When you have most of our waste is organic, and the organic waste is ending up causing environmental problems, when in fact it can be repurposed and recycled and used very, very positive to keep the nutrient cycle going, keep the waters clean. When you're fermenting it, you're capturing those greenhouse gases. So you're no longer releasing the methanes and those gases to the environment. You're capturing them when you're using them. When you burn biogas, you actually release water and carbon dioxide, very, very low quantities of carbon dioxide. So it's actually the cleanest form of energy that there is. Let me just take you down to where the fire is. You can ask a question or two if you want.
Today you've given us a lesson. Yeah, you've taken us through a very interesting lesson. I know we have one of the youngest people at our media station here. She's called Zipporah. I don't know if she has ever. Have you ever heard of biogas, Zipporah?
Yes.
Do you have a question for Dominic?
Yeah, I have a question. So, Zipporah, how much amount of waste does someone need to produce gas?
So in the case of let me just show you the gas working here. So there you go.
They're shocked. They've never seen such a thing.
Yeah. So it is as good as LPG, if not better, because it's far, far cleaner than LPG. And on top of that, it's not going to run out. So you don't need to worry about, you'll use the gas today. If the gas goes down, it'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, because the gas production is continuous. It continues producing gas daytime and nighttime. So back to your question of how much waste do you need? So many people believe that cow dung is the mother of biogas. It's going to produce the most biogas. The fact of the matter is, cow dung comes from grass. Grass has got the lowest calorific value. And on top of that, the cows have already taken out about 50% of the energy. So cows produce the least amount of biogas. They're actually at the very, very bottom of the biogas food chain. But cows do produce a lot of dung because they eat a lot. They eat maybe 30 or 40 kilos a day. So they're going to produce about 20 kilos of dung per day. So one cow will give you enough gas to do all of your domestic cooking for a family of about 5 or 6 people. If you don't have cows, chicken dung produces about 3 times more gas than chickens. But of course, you need many, many more chickens because they don't produce a lot of poop. So you need about maybe 30 or 40 chickens to produce the same amount of gas as one cow. When it comes to food waste, like market waste and kitchen waste, the green ones and the peelings and what have you, you only need about 6 or 8 kilos of that to produce the same amount of gas, about 1,000 liters of gas. And then finally, the really high calorific value food is human food. So cooked food, especially food with oils or fruit with oils like avocados, you only need about 3 or 4 kilos of those to give you the same volume of gas. So I hope that answers your question.
Haven't answered. Are you satisfied?
Yeah.
Interesting, Dominic. Apart from cooking, can biogas be used in other activities?
Absolutely, yes. Cooking, actually, we're demonstrating that cooking is just one of the processes. As I said earlier, you can use the gas for drying fruit and vegetables. You can use it for pasteurizing milk and pasteurizing juices. You can use it for making yogurt. You can use it for brooding chickens. You can use it for brooding piglets. You can use it for lighting, running generators. We're not fans of that because we do believe that gas should be used for heat purposes to offset firewood and charcoal versus running generators. In situations like in schools, rural schools that are not on the grid, of course, electricity is a must in this day and age of computers. You cannot have a school without computers. You're not educating kids if they don't have access to computers and the internet. So in situations like that where batteries are still very expensive in solar systems, so what you would do is you'd have a combination or a combo, biogas solar combo. So you'd have a much, much smaller solar system that could just run the computers during the day. And then at night where you need your lights, that's where you have the bulk amount of energy being used to run the lights in the school. But the lights only run up to lights out. They only run for about 4 or 5 hours. Or if that, maybe 3 or 4 hours actually. So you can have a biogas digester running a generator that basically takes the load for those 3 or 4 hours of producing electricity and then shuts down at lights out. And then you switch back to the batteries because then you're only lighting a few corridors, maybe the lavatories, maybe some perimeter lights, and spotlights can be on motion detectors, so they're not on wasting power the whole night. So there's different applications, different places where we do a lot of combination of biogas and solar. But yeah, solar can be used for everything. We've got vehicles, we've got tuk-tuks that run on biogas, so you can run vehicles on biogas. The the time of running engines on biogas is very inefficient. So the electric car is already here. So the biogas tuk-tuk has been rendered obsolete before it even left the ground, so to speak. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so anywhere where there's a heat energy demand, anything at all, you can use the gas. A lot of people make the mistake of wanting to run a generator so that they can use the electricity to run a pasteurizer. And we tell them, hold on a second, you want to use the gas to produce electricity to then produce heat. Why don't you just burn the gas and get the heat directly? It's far, far more efficient than producing electricity.
Very interesting.
So a lot of people, what we do is we will go into the areas and ask youths and also people in the farming communities their questions, and they will say, well, can biogas do this? And we're like, well, why not? You know, we do believe in the age-old saying, necessity is the mother of invention. So we don't live the challenges of everybody. So it's only when you go into the field and realize the challenges that people face is when you can now develop the tools to mitigate those challenges. And so that's a lot of what we do. A lot of our work is our research and development. We're more of a laboratory developing tools than actually an energy company. Yeah.
Very interesting, Dominic. If somebody wants to buy biogas, can you sell like the way we buy ProGas or biogas? Because you've talked about biogas being the safe kind of gas to use.
Yeah, so let me take you back on another little tour. So these are biogas cylinders. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Now, each empty cylinder, I wish one of you were here to come and try and lift the cylinder off the ground. This empty cylinder on the ground, the white one, empty, it weighs 130 kilos without any gas in it. When you put 10 kilos of gas, it becomes 140 kilos. So it's impossible to move these cylinders around like you do LPG cylinders. LPG cylinders are very light and convenient. And the reason is because the LPG stands for liquid petroleum gas. And when you compress the gas at quite a low pressure, it liquefies and becomes liquid. Methane does not want to become liquid. It wants to remain gas, which means that you can only get large quantities into small spaces at extremely high pressure. So where an LPG cylinder will have the same pressure as a car tire in the cylinder, this will have 100 times that pressure, which is why these cylinders are made of industrial steel and they're so heavy. So the only way to move them around is on vehicles like this, you know, with a trailer. But then the cost. When you start to move the gas around, there is a host of standards you have to meet, a host of regulations you have to meet, the transport cost alone. By the time you get it to your point of use, it's actually more expensive than LPG. So that's why our model is not to try to move the gas from the digester to the consumer, but rather plonk the digester where the consumer is. It's much easier to move waste to the digester, digest it, and then pipe it directly to communal kitchens or individual houses or businesses using low pressure, low tech. So this is the compressor that we use to compress. And as you can see, the rating there is 3,000 PSI or 200 bars. People who are viewing, who understand the meaning of that, they'll realize what sort of extremely high pressure we're talking about. To a degree of danger, it is actually not the fact that it's flammable, but just the high pressure itself is extremely damaging, can be extremely damaging in the event that something goes wrong.
Quick question, Dominic. How much does it cost to install the biodigester?
So the ones you saw with the greenhouse on them, those ones are ranging from 80,000 to 95,000. We do have a Christmas offer on now, so we started Christmas early. So we are offering a 30% discount on all of our domestic systems. So the prices of those will come down by 30%. So that's 85 and 30,000, depending on which of the size you want. So one of them is very good for the small family up to 5 members, and then the larger one is good for the family up to about 8 or 10 members. The one you saw, the urban utility model, that one will be marketed at about 50,000 when we are 100% sure that we've ironed out all the rough spots. It's still in R&D. It's almost ready. When it is, it will be marketing at about 50,000 shillings. And then the large systems, the big ones, we call them T-Rex. T-Rex, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Everybody loves dinosaurs. We want these systems to be in schools. We want children to relate with dinosaurs. We want them to relate with the planet Earth, the beginning of time. We believe that if you have these digesters in schools and the children are bringing the waste to the school to feed the digester as part of their homework, at the moment they're bringing a piece of wood to do the cooking. So bringing some dung or some kitchen waste will be the same kind of thing. We are pretty sure that when they leave school, they are not going to think about firewood and cook stoves and charcoal. They're going to think biogas. By then, materials will be much cheaper. They'll be able to make their own, because digesters are not difficult to make. And I think within one generation, with a concerted effort from the government in getting digesters into schools, one, maximum 2 generations, we can easily switch off firewood and charcoal in the rural and in the urban areas, just by introducing the technology to the kids. When kids see the light, when they see the flame, I mean, I hope this is recorded. You should see your faces as well. When you saw the flame for the first time, it's actually quite amazing. Yeah, the smiles on people's faces is quite amazing.
Yes, Dominic, I keep learning a lot of things on a daily basis, and I'm just thinking, if the little waste that you have, you're able to make that kind of gas. And right now we are having a campaign here at Farmers on food waste and food loss. How much gas do we have from the food waste that we currently have in the country? And how is it harming the environment?
I'm not sure what the statistics are, what the actual measures are. But if you think about every 5 or 6 kilos of organic waste is releasing 1,000 liters of gas, which is enough gas to cook for 5 people all their meals in a day. And then you look at the number of trucks going into the landfills, into the dump sites. Let me stop calling them landfills. They're not landfills, they're dump sites. If you look at the size of Dandora, if you look at the size of Mombasa dump site, you look at the size of Nakuru dump site, there is a huge, huge amount of energy just evaporating into the air, because nobody is focusing on it. And not only that, but I believe that if you look at all of the water hyacinths in Lake Victoria and Lake Naivasha and Baringo, and in the waterways in Lake Nairobi Dam, in all of the rivers that we have, we could train that plant, we could manage it in a way, because the water hyacinth is cleaning the water. It's actually a very, very good thing. It's a fantastic gift to have, because it's cleaning the water. It's trying to clean the water. We keep on polluting the water faster than it can clean it. If we remove it from the water's going to turn black. It's going to turn blacker. It's going to destroy the marine life. You'll have the algal blooms will even be overwhelmed by the amount of contamination coming in. So if we can harvest the hyacinth at a sustainable rate, not to wipe it out, and produce gas and pipe that gas into the dwellings around the beaches, along the riverbanks and what have you, we could very easily have enough biogas in Kenya to take all of our urban areas off charcoal very, very easily. It's just that we need that capital investment to set up these operations. We have one in Dunga Beach. We have a big plant in Dunga Beach, bigger than the one you saw just now at our demo site. And we are piping the gas into the mamas who are doing the deep frying of the fish. And we're also putting in another system that will be used to dry the omenas, because the omena drying is also a very slow process. It can be sped up and made far much more hygienically done by using biogas. And another thing that I'd like to comment there, when you look at, if you go to the Lake Basin and look at the Omena process, you see all these women, they lay down the fishing nets and they put all their fish on them. The fishermen go out and fish and bring the fish in. And then in the morning, the women buy the fish and then lay them out on their nets. And they literally sit there all day waiting for these fish to dry. They're throwing stones at the hammercocks and at the seagulls that are trying to steal the fish. They spend the whole Ascaris looking after these fish. That is a huge, huge waste of time. If we put in drying machines that you can put the fish in, the women can go away and do something productive and come back in the evening and their fish are dried, you can actually, not just have an environmental impact, but have a massive social impact because the women will be much more productive during the day rather than sitting beside their nets, throwing stones at birds.
Very interesting work you're doing. I'm just thinking, if we could have 10 Dominics or 47 in all the counties, where would we be at? Like, what can you tell Dominic, guys?
We are really inspired by what you're doing, and it's good that this information is being put out there because it has to get far and wide. People need to understand how biogas is made. People need to be educated about the same. Yeah, so we are really inspired.
I agree, absolutely. Thank you.
May I have one request? The next time you go to Dunga Beach to inspect your project, kindly take me with you.
Yeah, I think we also need to visit your farm so that we can see it for ourselves, because we are really amazed, we are really surprised. It's something it's my first time hearing about it. So it will be really nice if we visit your farm physically so that we can just be taken through the process. If it's okay, it's fine by you.
Yeah, absolutely. We are open. That's why we call it Copycat Farm. We want people to come and see what we're doing, go and copy it. We'll give you the education, we'll train you how to do it. We want people to take the technology with us. Yeah, they take the technology with them, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Dominic, next week leaders will be gathering in Egypt for the COP27 talks to talk about the effects of climate change. What is your take home to these leaders? What would you want them to discuss in the COP27 and even going forward, because we are now currently experiencing the effects of climate change? What would be your message to the leaders as they meet in Egypt next week?
One very simple message. Stop dumping Western knowledge or Western ideas in Africa. You cannot develop a solution for Africa from a laboratory in Europe or in the States. In Africa, we have the solutions. What we don't have is the financing. There are so many innovations that will solve a lot of Africa's problems if only they could be financed. Our governments don't support local innovation. We have I don't know, someone asks you, we've had customers come here. We had one customer from a Kenyan who was working in South Africa, came here and said that they like the technology, but they'd heard that it was from South Africa and they haven't seen it in South Africa. And we said, no, actually it's from Kenya. And immediately their wallet went straight back in their pocket and they left. Kenyans don't trust Kenyans. We don't have any, Kenya innovation doesn't have any support from the Kenya government. So we need Africa to support African innovation. The solutions are right here. We need our education system to stop with the colonial education system where we're reading history books and stuff that is irrelevant to us today. We need to learn about what is relevant to Africa today. How do we get into, let's stop using farming as a punishment for the students. Go outside and dig the farm because you didn't do your homework. It's got to be looked at as a very dignified profession. We've got to stop with the chemicals, stop with the GMOs. That, I think, is the message we need to drive to our current government, not even at the COP 27 event. And also our government we need to stop importing chemicals. Something in the region of 40 to 50% of the aggregate chemicals we have in our stores are banned in the countries where they are manufactured. How hypocritical is that? That you produce a chemical, it's banned in your own country because it's bad for the soil, bad for the water, bad for the people, but you're allowed to export it to a developing country like Africa or like Asia. I mean, it is ridiculous. If something is banned in the country of manufacture, it should be banned globally. The international world, the international trade should prevent anybody from exporting something that they will not use at home. It is criminal that they're being allowed to export stuff that they will not use at home themselves. Yeah, so we really need to focus on, we do have numerous resources that we can get ourselves out of poverty. We need political will, and we need the West to stop trying to dump technologies on us. I was at the AfroCities meeting. The AfroCities meeting was so expensive to attend that hardly any African exhibitors were there. All of the people were there, all the African delegates, all the governments sent their delegates to the meeting. I got a chance to present through a French organization. I was very, very happy that they allowed me. They were actually in Uganda, and they reached out to me and asked me if I would do a talk. I got a standing ovation when I demonstrated our recycle center in a PowerPoint presentation. Everyone else at that meeting was people from Europe, people from the States, dumping technology on Africa. Technologies that doesn't work for them there, and they think it's going to come and work for us here. It's all business. It's not about finding solutions. It's about making money out of ignorance of people. That has to stop. We need to start focusing on which solutions work, which ones can be scaled, and let's fix our own problems at home.
Well
That's
said.
my main thought.
Well said, Dominic. I don't think you need to add anything
That's
more.
clear. It's very, very clear.
But it's really hypocritical, like he has put it. Like,
Yeah.
why would you allow something that has been banned in another country to come to get into
To be consumed in our country.
it's really bad. Thank you so much. Our youngest daughter here in the studio is still shocked. Like she's still digesting the biodigester.
Okay. So we do offer attachments to university students and youths who want to come and see how does this work. You're very, very welcome to come and spend some time, maybe go on an installation or two, and just play with it. And if it's up your alley, I believe that people are born with a knack, a talent, you could call it, passion for something. Do it. If you're very passionate about this line of work, it's best to get into it now. The opportunities are huge. There is so little work being done on recycling, especially of organic material. A lot of recycling is being done on plastics and what have you, but very little is being done on organic. So there is huge opportunities in this space.
Can I come for the attachment? I want to know how to make my own biogas.
Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Dominic, for making time to join us. I think we will make a request to come physically to the farm so that people can get to see how to practice sustainable environmental agriculture, because like I always say it's an ecosystem, like it's a circular kind of thing. Like you've seen, he usually Dominic takes all the waste from his farm, puts it in the digester. The digester makes the gas, and even the manure that he uses. You've seen you've actually advanced it. You said you take it up to the tank, and then how is the flow?
Then it flows with gravity. It pumps with a solar pump up into the tank, and then it flows by gravity back down through the irrigation system, through the drip irrigation system into the farm. So it's literally.
Why do you put it in the tank?
Because you need the gravity. You need to get it up so that it will flow back down again. So you can control it. It's a control measure, actually.
Oh, okay.
I should say that.
Okay, so we'll be releasing you, but we'll try and come physically to the farm so that we can get to see exactly how this waste is manufactured into gas and the various products that you can. Did you manage to move the tuk-tuk with the gas?
Yes, the tuk-tuk works. I can't show it to you now. It's been hasn't moved in a while. But like I said, we shelved that project. But yes, the tuk-tuk certainly do work.
But did you manage to put it on? Like, how many kilometers can the tuk-tuk go with the gas?
Oh, so in terms of, is it an innovation of ours? No, they are called CNG. Compressed natural gas is a fuel used in very, very many countries, especially in Asia. So these tuk-tuks come from India. India is very big on switching off diesel, switching off kerosene. And so they have a natural gas line running around. I was in Mumbai, oh, sorry, not Mumbai, in Delhi. And in New Delhi, there is a gas line all around the country, and all the buildings are connected to it, and the petrol stations have got the gas line running through them, so they can give you CNG, compressed natural gas. So the vehicles work because this vehicle can carry the cylinder, because the cylinder is heavy, but you can't really move the cylinder manually. So that's why it's big in those countries. We have got huge reserves of natural gas at the coast, offshore. Tanzania has got massive reserves. Basically there's untapped volumes of gas, of natural gas. Natural gas is methane. It's not LPG. LPG comes from petroleum. The Ukraine war, Europe is being affected by the gas supply. It's not LPG, it's natural gas. So the whole of Europe runs on natural gas. All of the pipelines. Whenever you hear Europe talking about the gas shortages and everything, they're talking about natural gas. So biogas is the same as natural gas. It's just that we make it in a biogas digester rather than we mine it from reserves underground. Yeah. Wow. So the vehicles are manufactured to run on natural gas, and we just put in biogas instead of natural gas. It's the same gas at the end of the day. And so we are doing with them what they were designed to do. But like I said, the electric vehicle is here, and the CNG is going to be basically rendered obsolete before it can take off in Africa.
I think it can still be used. If you take it to the rural areas, probably those guys who do motorbikes, if you give them that idea, I'm sure they'll buy into it, because with the tuk-tuk, they can be able to.
The cylinders are heavy, and the compressor is a very expensive compressor. I think the place where it will be applicable will be running boats, because boats can carry the cylinders, and you can manufacture the gas on land, and then pipe the gas into the boat, into the cylinder, and then use the boats to travel around ferries or fishing boats or what have you. I think that is a place where it would never die, and then you could actually have it complemented with solar. With a solar pump, a solar motor as well. Yeah, so like I said, there's ideas, there's opportunities. There's no way that we have exhausted what can gas be used for. Just sitting there, you've been coming up with other ideas. Yeah. So we really want people to come into this space with the ideas and say, can I do this? Can I do this? And then we work on it and say, well, why can't it do that? Make it do it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dominic. This conversation will never end, but we'll be coming to your farm sometime, probably next week, just to explore and see and learn more on sustainable agriculture.
I'd like to just Sarah. So the light is not fantastic, but that is Sarah. She's in our accounts. Okay. This is Josephat, his operations. Hi. And there is Louis over there, who is more of on the internet, social media, and all of that. So when you come, you will meet. This is just part of the team. We have a team of about 25 members in total.
You see, the finance is called Sarah.
Sarah, yes.
Tell her I'll be coming to see her, and I'll come for lunch.
You're on speaker, she can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, Dominic. So we'll touch base. We need to end the show. Time is not on our side, but we'll plan and come for the visit.
Karibu. So anyone who's watching, please, you can visit our website, www.biogas.co.ke. If you're watching on a phone, maybe you can take a screenshot of the up there. No, that makes sense. But thanks again for the opportunity, and looking forward to your visit. Bring everybody, bring your family, your daddy, your mommy, your aunties, your sisters, your brothers, bring everybody.
Yeah, probably you can share also your contacts if someone is interested to get the biodigester.
Yeah, okay. The office line is 0722 700 530. That's 0722 700 530. My direct line is 0724 316 992. And the website is biogas.co.ke. Or you can just Google Flexi Biogas.
Okay, we'll also put the contacts on our social handles for those who will be interested to give you a call. They'll find the contacts there. Thank you so much, Dominic. Do you have a lovely morning and yeah, nice day ahead.
Also, thanks a lot.
Okay, so that has been an interesting discussion. Zippy,
Yes.
say something.
I'm still shocked.
What is shocking you?
That technology.
And it's very simple.
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine you can do that?
Not in my wildest of dreams, but it's I want to go there physically. So make it happen, Jackie. Make it happen. Let's go there. It's good sometimes to experience things directly. Yeah, it will be more surreal when we are there.
And actually, when we started the show, we were asking, what will happen when we don't have electricity? And Dominic has actually answered you can do a bio solar, like a combo of biogas and solar. And he's even given an example of how they've installed some biogas digesters in some schools, and it's what is powering the school, and it is reducing the bills for the school, and also it's also working for the environment, because you can imagine in a school how much waste do they get in the school.
A lot of it, and even the cow dung is mostly found in schools. Yeah, so, and from what my peak of the day is educating the kids, so that once they come out here, they will not even think about firewood or these other things that pollute the environment. That will be an option for them.
Do you need to say anything more? Or should we take a break?
I need to digest.
You need to digest. That has been the mid-morning show here at Farmers Media. Keep the conversation flowing. We'll be taking a short break, pay some bills, and then we'll be back shortly with today's proverb and fun facts, and then we say goodbye. Stay tuned.
Drip irrigation is a type of micro-irrigation system, or sometimes called trickle irrigation, that has potential to save water and nutrients by allowing water to drip slowly to the roots of plants, either from above the soil surface or buried below the surface from a system of small diameter plastic pipes fitted with outlets called emitters or drippers. The emitters slowly drip water into the soil at the root zone, therefore moisture levels are kept at optimum range, thus improving plant productivity. You can grow different crops using drip irrigation, be it tomatoes, spinach, skuma wiki, beetroots, celery, and many more crops will thrive using drip irrigation method. Drip irrigation is especially beneficial as it provides better plant health, less waste, reduced risk of diseases, money saving, weed control, and saves time. Drip irrigation is the most efficient water and nutrient delivery system for growing crops.
back to the mid-morning. I almost said welcome back to the evening farm drive. I'm so used to the evening show, but anyways, welcome to the mid-morning show. We've had a great discussion talking matters to do with sustainable environmental agriculture, and these are simple practices that will help save or mitigate the effects that we are currently experiencing of climate change. I know Zipporah has now digested a bit, and she has something to say on COP27 is coming starting from Monday. What is your message to these leaders? Give us one catchy, one strong
Something
message.
we'll remember you for.
What do you want to tell those leaders as they go to sit and talk about reducing greenhouse gas emissions? How can we reduce the greenhouse gas emissions? Should they even be the ones discussing, or is it the general public? Because we are the ones who are out here being burnt by the sun. Them, they just use the cars, use the planes.
They're in a better place.
What
to be
message
honest.
do you have for the leaders?
I think so. All the message have been given out, starting from the other show by Samuel, then Dominic. I think so. That's enough.
It could be you and you.
And you?
And you.
What about me?
Speak for most young people.
Fiona, probably, what is your message? Because we need to compile a lot of messages that we will also, because we'll be taking part in the COP27. We have a session where we'll be discussing, and we need to have your voices heard for the world leaders to also know that Fiona from Kenya has said ABCD, and the point she has made makes sense.
I think for me, I'll keep quoting what so many people have been saying throughout the week. And my favorite quote is from Dominic. Dominic said, there's so much innovation in Africa. Young people are innovating things on a daily basis. If the government, if the leaders can notice that, if the leaders can keep an eye on that, if the leaders can even support them, invest in them, then we will be able to tackle so many of the problems that are brought by climate change. And then another thing is they should also invest a lot in agriculture, and they should also create as many opportunities in agriculture as they can. And they should also invest in farmers in rural areas. That is where a lot of our problems will be solved. So that's just my message.
Good, well said. Mine, I'll give it tomorrow evening, on the evening farm drive. But one fun fact that I want to leave our audience and you ladies is who invented farmers? Or who invented farming?
Tell us.
You have no
Tell
idea.
us, Jackie.
Egyptians were among the first people to practice agriculture on a large scale, starting in the pre-dynastic period from the end of the Paleolithic into the Neolithic, between around 10,000 BC and 4,000 BC. This was made possible with the development of basin irrigation.
That's
So
history.
Egyptians invented farming.
Wow.
Now
so,
you know.
so my
Interesting.
guess was correct.
Oh, you guessed Egypt from just intuition, or it just came up?
Okay, that's a lot of history which we learned back then in high school.
How long ago were you in high school, Zippy?
Hiyo sitawaambia.
We know your age.
Can we say proverb of the day?
Yes, we can say the proverb of the day as we conclude today's show.
So our proverb of the day today is: the best way to eat hot soup is little by little.
Nice. You know, I almost think that the best way to eat soup is by using a cup.
Kadufu even.
That has been the mid-morning show with me, Jackie Mo.
My name is Fiona Luta.
I'm Zipporah Moira.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.